This is a Global Original Podcast. This week, a shocker about Madonna. I get interrogated about drugs. There's a disagreement about Genesis. But first, do you remember a giant orange nightmare called Donito Mussolini? Well, one of the many fights that he picked was with one of ours.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Sadiq Khan is a total disaster. Donald Trump reignited his feud with Sadiq Khan after London saw 3 murders in 24 hours. It is a nightmare out there. The US president tweeted, "London needs a new mayor ASAP," as he warned that things will only get worse with Khan at the helm. He has read the runes and he feels the way the wind is blowing.
I know a lot about wind.
You'd think that the leader of the free world would have more important things to do. But it was very humid in Washington today, and that moist air plays havoc with the cotton candy cloud that covers whatever it is that is on top of his head.
Oh, shut up!
The pair clashed when Trump jetted in for a state visit earlier this month, says the Mail, with the mayor of London dubbing him a fascist before Air Force One had even taken off. Trump, of course, rapidly hit back. He branded the mayor a stone-cold loser. The Labour mayor then accused the president of playground behaviour. Well, I think there might be a lot of that going about, eh? Khan claimed Trump was a poster boy for the far right, but not the kind of poster that anyone would actually want on their wall. Even Melania wouldn't want one of those. And they're not available anyway, Melania.
I don't care.
So here's the facts. Anybody care about those? No. I'll give them to you anyway. 17,000 murders in the US in 2017. And that is the first year that our glorious bright orange powder-coated leader lurched onto the world stage. 17,000 murders in the US in 1 year. 719 in England and Wales. So if you do the statistics, you'll find that the US kills its own citizens with the frequency of about 4 times that which we do in this country, which I would have expected it to be worse than that. I mean, in America, worse than that. But it's about 4 times. Trust me, I've added it up and divided it and multiplied it by 100. There were 100 murders in London last year, approx. In Philadelphia alone, 315. Philadelphia's a city of just 1.5 million people. 315 in Philadelphia last year alone. 100 in London. Now, if we had the same number of murders in London as they have per head of population in Philadelphia alone, we'd have had 2,000 murders, but we had 100. So, I don't know. Maybe Fat Donny should...
Shut up!
Exactly. Try sorting out your own country. He was berserk on Twitter today. It's like every second on the social media. There's nothing social about it. That anti-social media site, he was tweeting something else. Mostly conspiracy theories and stories about how fantastic and huge he is. Huge and tremendous. And orange, curiously. Connie from Stockwell says, have you seen the ticket prices for next year's Madonna concert at the Palladium? The words for it, shocking, unbelievable and disgusting. Check it out. Well, how much? Let me guess. The Palladium. That's a bit of a small concert, a small venue for her. I mean, I think that's playing it safe, Madonna. Playing it a little bit safe, Madonna. Not too many tickets to sell at the Palladium. A couple of thousand, something like that. Well, you didn't fancy trying to sell out Wembley? It's extraordinary that she's still doing it. And I was thinking about this because she's all over the media with that silly eye patch, which, you know, I suppose it gets people interested. She's always coming up with some new thing, right? She looks like one of the killers in... I knew I wouldn't be able to come up with the name of this thing right off the top of my head. The yellow thing with Uma Thurman in it, directed by Quentin Tarantino. You know, the yellow thing. I bet you know what I'm talking about.
It
was in 2 parts.
Now.
Yeah, it was in 2 parts. Part 1 and then part 2. I think you'll find that's right. Kill Bill, that's it. Looks like one of the killers in Kill Bill. I think that's where you took it from. Or maybe a bit of Marlene Dietrich in there as well. What does that new music sound like? Is it a bit like this? I can't wait. Well, I can. The Palladium. I bet the tickets are... I bet the cheapest ticket is £100. Is that approximately right? I have no idea. And I could care less. But if somebody's got a couple of freebies, I'd love to go. James from Wolverhampton says, I'm a big fan of George Ezra. What, the guy who sings through his nose? But according to you, he's wet and sings through his nose. I should have read on. He says, can you suggest any alternative music that I should listen to? If you don't suggest anything, then it's Ezra and Biffy Clyro for me, I'm afraid. Well, the important thing to remember about this, James, is I don't care. Now, where to start? There's an interesting story coming out of Colorado about marijuana. You know that Colorado was, I think it was the first state to legalize recreational marijuana in America.
Want to score some pot?
That's what they asked the citizens of Colorado, and the citizens of Colorado said, as with one voice,
yes.
You know how much money Colorado has made since they legalized marijuana in 2014? $1 billion. Not a million, $1 billion in tax. That's a lot of green. Total marijuana sales within Colorado have passed $6.5 billion since legalization 5 years ago. And the state has collected more than $1.02 billion in taxes, licenses and fees. I ain't making this stuff up. That's according to the Department of Revenue. They have 2,917 licensed marijuana businesses and 41,000 individuals licensed to work in the industry. 41,000 jobs. 41,000 jobs and $1 billion in state taxes in a state that has about 5 million people. Now, the UK, meanwhile, has 65 million people. And I know you can't compare directly, but that would equate, if you could, to over 500,000 jobs and £51 billion in 5 years, which is about half the yearly cost of the NHS. But I know what you're thinking. Perhaps more people take it in Colorado than would take it here. And so I've done research. Can you believe that?
No.
According to our government's own figures, they state that marijuana is the most commonly used drug. That's according to the crime survey for England and Wales. 7.2% of adults aged between 16 and 59 have used it in the last year. That's about 2.4 million people. Now, in Colorado, the Department of Health says 15% of the population are using the drug. That's 15% of 5,750,000. They took in $1 billion in taxes with just 750,000 people using that product. We got 2.4 million people. You do the maths. That's a lot of money, honey. And it ain't just me saying it. Health Poverty Action, an international development organisation, claims that regulating and legalising cannabis in the UK is, quotes, an idea whose time has come, and that the windfall could be used to plug the gap in the NHS budget. It's not like we haven't got one. It's a gap as big as the Grand Canyon. Colorado Governor Jared said, this industry is helping grow our economy by creating jobs and generating valuable revenue that is going towards preventing youth consumption, protecting public health and safety, and investing in public school construction. Well, wouldn't that be nice if we had billions and billions of dollars to spend on health and schooling, you know, fritter it away on stuff like that. Of course, we could buy weapons of mass destruction with it, put it to good use. And what happened after Colorado legalized recreational marijuana? They saw a 6% drop in opioid overdose deaths. It's a terrible situation they got in America now, opioid deaths. Prescription drugs is what's going to kill you. And as is usual, if it happens in America 1 year, it's going to happen here in 5 years following. And since weed, it says here, was legalised for weed, I think this is some of this was taken from the Daily Mail, which is it's a bit like your granddad trying to kid on that he's hip and groovy. Oh yeah, I know all about this newfangled music. It's Lonnie Donegan. Is he still in the charts? Since weed was legalised for recreational use in 2014, teens have actually been drinking less alcohol and using other drugs less, and even using cannabis at the lowest rates in over 10 years in that state, which kind of goes against what you would think, don't it? Meanwhile, in this country, we don't reap the reward of all that trade. You know, the Lib Dems, as in the Liberal Democrats, they did their own research last year. They suggested that 1 million hours of police time is being wasted every year on policing the ban on smoking cannabis. 1 million hours. That's why the police can't come over your place if your car is being nicked. Right from underneath your bottom, they won't arrive. Because they're too busy with this. The Lib Dems said in 2017, 87,000 odd police caseloads relating to the drug were opened in the year before, with the average cost to the taxpayer per case estimated at £2,256. Add it up, that's 31 million quid. And over 1 million police hours. And if you think that people aren't arrested by the law and put into jail for this anymore, think again. 30,000 times in the 5 years to 2017, people were put into custody for marijuana. So if anybody ever says,
want to score some pot?
Just say no. In fact, just say no thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite! And he's a great guy, and he's an honest guy.
That means nothing coming from you, but thanks anyway. Steve says, did you see Agent Orange? Agent? Well, I call him Ancient. It might sound like I'm saying agent, but it's actually ancient because it's a play on agent. I don't know why I bother. Ancient, as in... Did you see Ancient Orange tweeting about the meeting of the Prince of Wales, as in W-H-A-L-E-S? You'd have thought his children, Orangina and Fanta, would have explained the difference between a mammal and a country. He says, I presume that Melania don't care. Is that true, Melania?
I don't care.
Yeah, spot on. Charlie in Salisbury says, you don't like George Ezra or Ed Sheeran, so I'm guessing you don't get on with Tom Swarbrick, because he tweeted about how George Ezra is a powerful songwriter and how his music is really addictive, and he said the same about Sheeran. I don't believe you. Prove it. He says, I think we need to tie him down and force some Boy George on him. I don't really know what that means, but it does give me an awful mental image. And Sam in Redhill says, okay, now grip onto something firm, because this is a shocker. Sam in Redhill says, tickets to see Madge at the Palladium. Now, have we checked that this is true? It's no, in other words. So we might be just disseminating misinformation here. Liar! In which case, I apologise in advance. I'm very, very sorry about this whole misinformation issue, Madge.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Well, I don't know if I've screwed up yet, but if it's true, then I can't believe it. You know, I said that I thought that the cheapest ticket would be about £100. Way out. Tickets to see Madge at the Palladium are between £400 and £3,572. What? I think I would want to take home the actual seat for that money. He says, I saw a decent punk band down at a pub last week for a tenner.
Rock and roll!
There you go. It can't possibly be... The cheapest seats can't be £400. For what? She'll be miming through most of it anyway. And if that's not true, then I apologise for that as well. Let's have a call in Camden. Hello, Lawrence.
Hi, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks.
Do you know what? It's one of the honors of my life to talk to you. I think you're a genius, man.
Wow.
Yeah. No, honestly, I know all the greats, man, but you're something special. Anyway, forget about that.
Well, that's very nice of you, Lawrence. But I think you're off by many degrees there. A genius. What? Me and Albert Einstein?
Well, no, you and Lenny Bruce. Anyway, look, I went to the cinema yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And I saw this movie, Maradona.
Maradona. You know, not Madonna, Maradona.
Yeah, man, Diego Maradona. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's just like the guy was he was something special. And the thing was, he was in Napoli.
Yeah.
And, you know, Napoli was nothing when he got there. But then he, like, over a few years, he started to build it up there, man, and the cartels got hold of him, and that was it. It was like, listen.
Well, don't tell us the plot of the film.
Well, everybody knows. He turned out to be a cokehead. I mean, that was it.
Well, he had his issues, yeah. The thing about Maradona, not that I know anything about football or any other subjects.
No, neither do I, but the thing is, this is the whole point. Yes. I'm not a football fan, but the fact is, this man was something else.
Yeah. Did you see that?
You know what I mean?
Okay. Right. Well, I've heard that it's supposed to be very, very good. I mean, every now and again.
No, it's brilliant. You know how good it is? It's so good. It's so good that you wanted it to last a little longer.
Huh. How long does it last?
Like an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Well, that's plenty long enough for a film, for a documentary.
No, but this is so good, you'd like it to go on another half an hour, maybe.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll wait till it comes out.
You were going to ask me a question.
Oh, I've forgotten. I'll wait till it comes out on TV because I just don't like going to the cinema. Well, let me ask you this.
Well, no, the whole thing about like Maradona and like because he was hated by the Italians in the end. He was hated by the English. Now he was hated by the English because he railroaded his way through, getting them out of the World Cup and the hand of God. Now the thing is,
he was very, very short, wasn't he? Very low.
Well, this is what I was going to say. This is exactly what I was going to say. This man was about 5 foot nothing. Now Peter Shorten was about 10 foot. Now he jumped, he leaped up, and he overtook the man. And so, listen. Give him the goal. Now, Gary Lineker, to be fair...
Well, wait a minute. You're not talking about the hand of God goal. We can't give him that goal.
No, of course we can, because he leaped up, a 5 foot man leaped up over a 7 foot man, and he just banged.
Yeah, but he used his hand.
Well, he was in the air, and he just thought, what should I do now?
And the answer came, cheat. Yeah.
No, it's not. Listen,
right,
we're talking about
Lawrence,
cheat.
it's called football, not handball.
Have you seen what's going on? Listen, you watch I don't watch it anyway because I think they're a bunch of pole dancing, prancing.
Don't say it. He stopped himself. I thought you're not going to start talking about the Women's World Cup, are you?
But I was talking about
Well, where have you gone?
Have you seen it?
Please speak directly into the phone. Or maybe I should just leave that conversation there. For safety's sake. I think I'm going to leave that conversation there. He just forgot how to use his phone. Or maybe he ran out of money. Do people still run out of money on their phone? I think they probably do, but it almost certainly doesn't sound like that. Maybe he was being mugged. Maybe Maradona came up unbeknownst to him and swiped that phone right out of his hand. Yeah, I'll wait till it comes out on television. I just don't like going to the cinema at all. People are there. I've met people, and I'm not keen. They just can't. They just can't shut up. Going on, and they're tweeting on their phones, and they're holding their phones up to take a picture of it, like anybody would want to see that on social media. Just desperate to get likes. It's pathetic. It says reports on Twitter suggest that the cheapest Madonna tickets are £455.40. Well, where did they get the 40p from? What, because £455 isn't enough, so they have to tack 40p on the end? Just make some extra pounds? Says some people are paying over £2,000 for VIP seats. I bet every stitch of clothing that I'm wearing right now, I will run into Leicester Square utterly naked.
Disgusting.
If the VIP seats aren't mostly empty. Every time I go, I used to work at a music station.
Rock and roll!
We used to get tickets to go and see concerts. And you'd always be sitting in the VIP area, which didn't actually look like a VIP area. It was just, a decent row of seats. And I would always be the only person in that row. It was deeply embarrassing. Other people would be queuing outside to try and get in. And the entire row that I'd be sitting on would be utterly vacant apart from me, because they were all freebies. And people who get freebies tend not to go. Shocking. And it was not small gigs either. I mean, big acts. Pink Floyd, stuff like that. Be empty seats on either side of me, which is fine. You can spread out. But wouldn't it be nice if the people who got free seats to excellent shows actually could be bothered to show up? Just don't ask for them if you're not going to go. Connor says, did you see Phil Collins brought out Mike Rutherford during his Europe tour recently? Magical. They covered Follow You, Follow Me. Oh, Follow You, Follow Me.
Boring.
Actually, let's not make this about music all night long, but I do prefer Phil. Now, this is... I know you're not going to like this, but I prefer Phil Collins' Genesis. There, I've said it. What? Yep, I don't have much time for... what's his name? Peter Gabriel. I don't have much time for Peter Gabriel Genesis. I prefer Phil Collins' Genesis. Duke is a superb album. You know that that's true. And D tweets, you forgot Widowmaker. What does that mean? Is this from yesterday?
Yeah.
We're just doing yesterday's business today. We're wiping up yesterday's mess now. You forgot Widowmakers featuring Steve Ellis and Luther Grosvenor. It was a great gig. I've got no idea what you're talking about. Steve says Chapman and Whitney Streetwalkers, great band. Pity families aren't still together. Well, like most families, they just didn't get along. And Jimmy in Colchester says, why are we allowed to elect useless people like our MPs, but not allowed to elect people like our Prime Minister? Well, that is something that I would like to get into. And yesterday, I trailed ahead, but never got around to it. This fight between Liam Fox and Nigel Farage. Did you hear about this? Nigel Farage got slapped down by Liam Fox, if you can believe that. There's a fight that you wouldn't pay £440.40p to go and see.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I'm talking to Mick on the Isle of Wight. Hello, Mick.
Oh, man, do you know what? This is a pleasure and an honour to speak to you. I haven't heard you on the airways for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
Why? How comes I've only just found this out that you're on LBC?
Well, I don't know. Have you been away?
No, I listen to LBC quite regular, but only during the daytimes.
Right.
But, no, I mean, I love you. You're kind of a little bit Tommy Boyd-ish with your conversation, like you're a bit all over the place, which is a good thing, by the way. No, I'm not taking a mickey, but no, it's a great thing.
All over the place. Yeah. Thanks for the compliment, I think.
But no, I'll say you're quite clued up on music, as like obviously you used to work for a station that begins with.
Yeah. No, I don't know anything about music. I know what I like.
Well, you do. You've done pretty good on that station.
Doesn't mean to say I know anything about music. All you do on a music station is press the big green button marked next. Anybody could do it, Mick. I could train you to do it in about 10 seconds.
Well, I'm quite educated on music, but not the sort of music you're into. I'm more into like dance music and stuff.
Yeah, well, I like that too. Just because you like one genre, I hate that word, one genre of music doesn't mean to say you dislike others. It's not politics. Just because you like just because you like somebody on the right doesn't mean to say you hate everybody that is not at that extreme. I like dance music and I like jazz. How can anybody not like jazz?
Yowza.
And I like some country, although I barely got any albums that are country music. I like soul and reggae and classic
like
rock.
Music.
Yeah.
You said you like dance music.
Yeah.
Come on, tell me what you like. Between me and you. Forget about the other people that are listening. Come on, what's your... I
like names. Names change every day of the week. You know, it's a very ephemeral genre. There it is again. But if I were to describe it for you, I kind of like chunky, soulful, jazzy house music. There you go.
Oh, that is good.
I tell you what, there's a guy that had the single of last year, and I called it in spring of last year. In fact, before it even came out, I heard it once on the radio, and it's a guy from Leeds called Paul Walford. Look him up, Mick, and thank me later. No, wait, I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Oh, thank you. But anyway, getting back onto the subject of, I've only just tuned in. I heard your voice. It was a bit rude of me not to hear the topic of conversation that's going on. But
I'll say. Presumptuous, if you don't mind me saying so. Go on.
Well, maybe I can answer that back another day. But your presenter, not your percentage. Your researcher said you talking about like legalising marijuana.
Oh yeah, that was ages ago. Go on. Yeah, go on.
I mean, can I ask what your thoughts are on it? I mean, do you really think it's a good idea?
It's the only thing that makes any sense. People are not avoiding it because it's illegal. We seem to consume drugs in larger amounts per head of population in this country than practically any other country on earth. If you look over the entirety of the drugs market, I think we are number one, there or thereabouts. Now, not for each specific drug, but or if you took all of the ways in which you can mentally get out of it, we seem to consume more than anybody else. So their illegality is obviously not working. So wouldn't it be better than fueling this murder rate, which we're reporting on with every news bulletin? The numbers seem to tick up. I would assume that it has something to do with it, that these horrible statistics have something to do with people selling drugs and marking out their territory and so on. Wouldn't it be better if we just took it away from the criminals and actually made some money from it?
The word you mentioned there earlier was assume.
Assume?
You should never assume, because you know what assume stands for?
Us and you and me.
Exactly, yeah. I personally, I haven't got as many miles on the clock as what you have, but I'm a little bit younger than you, but not too much younger.
Yeah.
And I'm no stranger to the word. And basically, I mean, I used to have a really strong habit with. Can I say what I was?
Well, okay then. As long as you don't recommend that anybody takes it.
No, I was heavily into hash, and I was heavily into speed. One or two other stuff.
Yeah. But what's your conclusion then?
What's my conclusion? I think basically, if you can legalise it, you say it's okay.
Well,
like you're sort of saying, yeah, it's okay to do that.
But cigarettes are illegal, and nobody's saying they're okay.
No, yeah, but I smoke and I vape, and if I have a cigarette, it's not going to be mind blowing for me. I'm not going to like.
Okay, but can I just back up? What you're saying is that the government would say it's okay, but you know who's not remotely interested in what the government says? People who take drugs, because the government has stated that it is illegal, and they're not paying any attention. So that ship sailed. It don't make no difference. Kids aren't thinking before they go out of an evening. Now, what does the government say about what I've got in my hand? Is this a Class A or a Class B? Nobody thinks about that at all.
What government are you talking about?
Huh?
What government are you talking about? Because it's a little bit sketchy at the moment, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we don't actually have one at the moment. We're a rudderless ship heading for an iceberg.
Cool.
Ian, Mick, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. There is my thought in a nutshell. Giuliano says £400 to see Madonna. I'm seeing the legendary Kiss in a couple of weeks. The greatest show on the planet. No, it's not. They aren't. He says they're older than Madge and, unless I am very much mistaken, wear less makeup. Well, quite possibly. Act of genius by Kiss, by the way. I wonder if they actually thought this out and that's why they painted their faces like that. But A, they can't be recognised in public, and B, they can get really, really old and you can't really tell under 3 feet of makeup. They might as well be wearing masks. You can't even tell if it's actually them. Can you? Well, when he sticks his tongue out, then you can tell. Phil says, you're right, Phil Collins' era of Genesis was better. Duke is a brilliant album, so's Abbot and Trick of the Tail. Well, let's not get carried away. Tony says, did I just hear you right? You prefer Phil Collins' Genesis to real Genesis with Peter Gabriel? I've just lost all respect for your musical taste, Nick, you complete donut. Yeah, Peter Gabriel, it was a bit too forced English, forced ye olde English to me. It was a bit like English country garden, you know? A little bit on the weak side, I thought. And Manuel says, I'm a listener without material, as the only joke I can think of is about a country that allows a liar and a cheater to become the Prime Minister, but sacks comedians over jokes. P.S. Please say negotiations. Poor Mrs. M. Well, you know, she's gone through that, and now she's at the other side. She can put her feet up, kick off her clown shoes, and have a relax. How did the job suit you, Mrs. M?
Dreadful.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But now she can look forward to earning a boatload of money doing nothing, as is ex-prime ministers won't. They get about £500,000 a year just to do nothing, don't they? I can't remember what they call it, but I think that's what it is. We, poor penurious public, give our ex-PMs £500,000 a year to do nothing in order to... I've got no idea. They just thought it up and did it for themselves. You know, it's a little bonus for excellent work. I think in order to organise their office functions or something like that. I mean, they just came up with some excuse to award themselves a ton of money. It's a blooming outrage, if you ask me. I mean, even Tony, I assume that they all take it. I mean, because if somebody offered you £500,000, you'd take it too, right? So let's assume that they all take it. Can you believe that Gordon Brown is on £500,000 for his brief tenure in the top job? Never mind about that. What about Tony Blair? And now Mrs. M is going to join their ranks. Not that she needs the money. I think she's loaded, isn't she? Tony in Inverness says, I wish I was filthy rich and I could buy every ticket for a Madonna concert and then not turn up. Why? Oh, God, the lights have just gone out. Maybe I should just do this show in the dark. It's actually quite atmospheric. I might get used to it.
Groovy.
Have you got a light, boy? And that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, the next episode will get squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And don't forget the other podcasts that I do. One's called The Whole Show, which is, as it sounds, the whole show that I do on the radio. But we strip the news and the ads out, which makes it quicker to listen to. You'll use less electricity and thereby save the planet. There's also the one I do with Carol McGiffin, which is a right laugh. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems and maintain a straight face. If you would like us to solve your issue, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol@global.com. And prepare to be completely satisfied. And I'll be back on the radio Friday, Saturday and Sunday night at 10. And until then, I'll be seeing you.
Bye-bye.